Now, ladies and gentlemen, just 3 days ago, that being November 13th, we received the first CS update of the week. And based off Valve's recent update cycle with wanting to make CS2 as polished, but most importantly as fast as possible, most predicted we'd see another update by Friday, and well, we just got that. Last night, Valve hit us with yet again another one, that being the biggest update to any Counter-Strike game to date. This being quality of life updates and fixes to make CS2 as esports ready as possible. Every week, the new blog post gets bigger and bigger. Last week, it was the biggest update to date, where we saw 7 categories in the entire blog. This one broke it with 13. Now, some of the changes you can look forward to is with the op. For those who have all been wondering, but also asking Valve to add it, Bob was also included in the patch notes. Today's video, we're going to break down this most recent blog post and see some of the biggest changes. Now, today's video sponsor is SkinsMonkey. SkinsMonkey is a buying and trading marketplace for your CS items. It makes a safe and easy way to trade out your inventory for something new. By using my code MANDO, you can get a deposit bonus of 35% alongside a free $5 in your first trade, with a max bonus if you spend $100 or more. With a large variety of skins, deposit options, alongside daily, weekly, and monthly giveaways, they're doing a great job rivaling other competition. If interested, it'll be at the top of the link in the description below. Now, firstly, as always, Valve starts out with a tweet, and this one's not necessarily the ordinary one. They stated this one is big.
That's what she said.
Now, by downloading this update myself, but also clicking on the patch notes, this update is 3.88 gigabytes. This is the biggest update to date aside from CS2's release. Now, hopping on over to the blog post, it's a lot to cover. Maybe a little too much for just one video. As of right now, I'm just going to go over the most important things and show the differences near the end. As we mentioned, there are 13 different categories, which is absolutely insane, which this also gets me extremely excited. Now, first up is the gameplay category. We see multiple changes to the subtick and audio to make things overall just feel more smooth. And this is where Bob comes into play. They reduced Bob on scoped weapons, specifically the AWP. They also noted throwing weapons is a lot more consistent, and if I'm reading this correctly, you no longer take fall damage by defusing a bomb. That was worded a little weird, so I'll have to look into that later on. They also added unique sounds for running on poles and weird things as such. In the animation category, they fixed animation and draws that were bugged that needed fixes, that being for knives and weapons. We all know about the CZ bug where you can just twist your hand over and over and over again. Playing against or with bots, some bots wouldn't have a knife on the T side for whatever reasons. That's now fixed. Inspecting all weapons has been updated, and player shadows now are on par with the player, so they don't seem off or on a diagonal curve or still stay there when the player leaves or dies. In the miscellaneous category, they fixed dozens of bugs with the demo viewer. They also improved performance, that being with FPS, and they also had dozens of skin fixes and changes. Most notably though is the M4A4 Daybreak. People have been complaining about this for the past few weeks ever since it got broken, so I'm glad that's now fixed. Now let's go into the map category. Overpass saw changed in CT to truck, so if you're playing Overpass, you're pushing up long, you can tend to see the player's feet when they're inside bank. Now you can't deal a lot of damage, but you can know if someone's there, so you can pre-molly it, smoke it, nade it, whatever you want. They have placed a piece of metal there now, so you can no longer see that. So I guess it makes it a little bit more CT-sided on the A-bomb site. And there's also various visual updates, not just for Overpass, but every single map. Now for Vertigo, there's a lot of fixes just like every other map, but most notably, they patched the elevator peak, it seems. And as it goes for every map, at least as of right now in playtesting the game, performance, meaning FPS, has gotten a lot better. As we just mentioned, visuals got updated, and for every single map, they actually talked about specifics on where certain parts in certain maps this happened. They fixed clipping and holes on all maps, and those were patched. Now very quickly, I forgot to mention something that Valve added to the blog post, but if you currently or in the future have an out-of-date driver, that being for NVIDIA or AMD, CS is going to tell you that you have an out-of-date driver and you need to update it, or you should anyway. Now I'm assuming they've added this based off the recent AMD incident, where since this wasn't updated and players were playing with a couple different settings in their control panel, it would lead to a VAC ban, but if you did appeal it, or in the future do because you're using that same driver, you will get unbanned. But I think as of for now, it's probably best to play with the newest up-to-date driver, at least for safety reasons, unless you really know what you're doing. Now with it officially being 12 hours since this update went live, I now want to give my take and share my thoughts. As of right now, I've played 4 to 5 Premier games since this update went out, and there's some pretty subtle changes worth mentioning. The first thing you notice when you play competitive or Premier is nades are now shown in the chat with different colors. Now as of right now, I think this is very weird, but it's just something we'll have to get used to that I think will be very worthwhile in the long run. Since before, if you threw an HE or a Molotov or a flashbang for an example, they'd all show up as the exact same, and sometimes you'd have to check that specifically to really know. Now you can really just kind of glimpse over at it, kind of like your minimap to see any red dots there. Same thing now goes with the chat. You're not gonna have to pay too much attention to it while playing the game. After playing Overpass twice and looking at it in a private match, the change in CT so you can no longer see bank is pretty subtle. I don't think many people are gonna notice it, especially some of the casual players, but right now it seems to be great, but also odd. And that's just like most change for us CS players. We don't like it. If we fast forward a few months, we probably wouldn't want to go back. That was a lot to cover. And if you actually wanted to read every single patch note, it would take you some time, especially to see the differences. I'm not gonna lie, I was not expecting an update at least that size, let alone this detail. The Devs are currently listening and fixing as much as possible without breaking anything new, and also updating as fast as possible as well. This makes me think back to the first couple of weeks of CS2, where we saw an update sometimes twice a day for the first couple of weeks. Now, it was good, they were fixing a lot of things, yes, but sometimes, and most of the time, those were breaking more than they'd actually fix, because how fast they were pumping out, they weren't specific in the blog posts, and now they are, which is absolutely amazing. That's all pretty much anyone has ever asked for, at least me. This makes me extremely optimistic for the future of CS2. No other game, let alone CS, I would have ever thought to make these big of changes as consistent as they are, at least for now. We also have to keep in mind this is the biggest leap forward in terms of updates and devs actually listening, but most importantly communicating with us, the community. And lastly, I quickly want to mention, these updates should excite you, not just for the fixers and playing the game, because I know a lot of people just like skins and just like chilling casually without sweating their ass off in Premiere, but for those wanting and begging Valve for new content. The sooner this game is as bug-free as possible, new content like a case or operation will be in the works, or probably released. And that's of course based off everything they've told us, the community, in recent articles, interviews, and really everything they put out. Originally, today's video was actually supposed to be about CS2, how people are receiving it, and it's not too great. I have a video most likely going up later today after this one, talking about the current state of CS2, how a lot of people have to stay optimistic. Very similar to how I just discussed that at the very end of this video. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you guys like these new changes? I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay positively sexy. I'm out, guys. Peace.